Hi, I'm Aaron, and this is how to sing on key so you can hit perfect notes every time. Welcome back. How to sing on key so you can hit perfect notes every time. I want to talk a little bit about tension. Now, when you sing the higher notes, when we all sing higher notes, here's what happens. Watch my Adam's apple and larynx. So if I'm going, hey, see, like when my larynx raises up, it's got this like squeezy, just nasty kind of sound, and that's super common with most singers. So when you sing higher notes, you're like, and you're like, all of a sudden I feel like I don't have air up there, and it just sounds crackly. And a lot of times up there is when your voice will crack and break. That's where most people have the trouble. So have trouble singing, but that specific trouble of like, why can't I sing high notes and make it sound good? So I'm going to talk about how you can sing high notes and make it sound good. In fact, make it sound great. And there's a couple of tricks to this, and we're going to go over a few things. So you on board for a little ride here? First one is, and this is stupid, and it's going to sound even like duh, but it's not, because I have a ton of students, and it's not duh. It kind of seems like it's duh, but it's not. Just be conscious and relax your voice. Relax your throat, relax your body. When you're singing, especially if you're singing for somebody or if you're singing for a crowd, or it just naturally, the body just kind of tightens up to protect itself, right? We're just kind of, when we're singing and doing something artistic in front of other people, it feels so vulnerable and we feel so like exposed that the body wants to tense and tighten up so that we can protect ourselves, right? Maybe you haven't experienced that. I definitely experienced that. So that's one thing, is just, whether you're by yourself, singing by yourself, or with other people, just consciously relax your throat, relax your jaw, relax your mouth a little bit. Just notice that, because that's going to take away, even just that knowledge and being conscious of that, 50% of your strain is just going to melt away right then and there. There's going to be other things to do, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but that's a good place to start. Now, one way to eliminate weight and tight, like the weight, when I say weight, it's like that heavy weight on your voice in those higher notes. Eliminate that weight, because the difference is, I actually haven't really demoed the difference, but the difference is, hear that lightness when I'm going all the way up to the top of my register and back? You want that type of lightness when you sing. And the way to do that, one way to practice doing that, is to do this exercise. I call it like a pharyngeal NG. Pharyngeal, this is just your pharynx. The pharyngeal is like that kind of brassy sound, like an NG type sound. And as with a lot of exercises, what you're doing in the exercise is not what you're going to necessarily like do exactly when you're singing. It's not what you want to sound like exactly when you're singing. The exercise is just that. It's an exercise to get your voice and your throat and the feeling of singing to a certain way and level, to where when you do sing, that same formation in your mouth and throat becomes a natural way to sing. Does that make sense? So with this one, you can try like a do that NG sound. Just give it like a notice there's no weight up there. I'm not straining. It's not cutting off the air supply, because that's another thing. When that larynx goes up, it closes up your throat, and so you just don't have a lot of air supply. And the most important thing with singing, above all, is having enough air, and having a nice open throat is when you're going to have the most amount of air. Okay, so that's a good exercise to do, slide in and out. Another exercise is if you stick your tongue out and do like a whiny, like ant, I know it looks dumb. Again, you're not going to look like this. You're not going to sound like this when you're actually singing, but it's going to give you the feel of what light singing feels like, what singing that is not strained sounds like and feels like, right? So not sounds, but feels like, and then it'll sound better. So try sticking out your tongue and try just doing like a little scale. So it's something like and then you can do trying like a slide. See, it's nice and light. There's no strain in there, and that can help you. You can see what it feels like when you're up in that high register, with a nice open throat and a nice sound that's not squeezy. Because a lot of times what happens that will affect all this stuff is going to affect your pitch. Obviously, when you do strain, usually equals flat notes. Flat, right? So here's the note you're trying to hit, and sharp is going to be too high, and flat's going to be too low. You're not quite hitting that pitch. But what will cause that a lot is that strain, and usually that's going to be more of a flat sound. So and you don't want that. And it's just a lot of wear and tear on your voice. If you're straining your voice over and over again, you can really damage your voice.